what's up you guys, the Curious Owl here, and today I am going to be sharing with you guys my March 2020 TBR. So March is going to be a very busy month for me, I think, in general, because other than just all of the books I plan on reading physically, I have a lot of things going on in March. I am hopefully going to be getting some house tours going on for Robert and I so that we can go check out some houses to hopefully move into the next couple months. So it's going to be a little crazy. So bear with me if I don't read all of these books. I feel like I always set super high TBRs and I never get through all of them because life happens. But you know what? I like having high goals to try to attain. So let's just get into it. So I do have a couple readathons I am planning on doing during the month, but I just want to start off with the first one since it's going to take over the first 10 days of March. And then I have also the middle part of March that is going to be fairly open. And then the last weekend of March, I have another readathon that I am doing that I will get into a little bit later. We'll start off with the Anathon TBR just because that is going to be the very first 10 days of March. So Anathon is a readathon I am doing with my friends Adri from Full Time Reads and Liv from Two Quills. And I'm really excited about it because we decided to do a readathon based on adult and new adult books, and it's going to be so fun. It's super relaxed and super chill. You can go check out my Anathon specific TBR in the description below and my announcement video for Anathon if you would like to know some more information about it. But without further ado, let me get into those books. So one of the books I do plan on reading over the course of those 10 days is Salem's Lot by Stephen King. This is the second book that I'm trying to read for my Stephen King reading series. I also do plan on reading another book, hopefully over the course of the week, but it just really depends on how quick I can get through my other books. But for now, this one is slated as my mystery thriller prompt and my paranormal prompt for Anathon. It is possible that this one may go to more of a general adult idea kind of thing as opposed to having specific prompts attached to it if I can get to the next book that I will mention later. The next book I have is Fire and Blood by George R.R. Martin, which is going to complete my adult fantasy and my just general adult book prompts for Anathon. The next book I do hope to read, which is going to possibly switch out with Salem's Lot depending on how the week goes, is The Shining by Stephen King. This is the third book chronologically that Stephen King released in his entire collection of stories, and this also can work for the mystery thriller and paranormal aspect because many of us know there's a lot of both of those things going on in The Shining, and I'm really excited because after The Shining, I do plan on reading Dr. Sleep, which is technically the next book within that series because it follows one of the characters from The Shining that was really young at the time. And so I'm really excited because I kind of want to see the movie that was made of Dr. Sleep, and I want to see The Shining movie because I've never seen either of them. With this reading series, I do hope that eventually I will watch some of either the older adaptations of movies or the newer ones because I know that especially recently there's been a lot of redos and remakes of the movies that were made off of Stephen King's books. So I'm actually more interested in watching Dr. Sleep than I am watching The Shining, but I don't know, maybe I'll watch The Shining too with Jack Nicholson. We'll see. The next book that I will be reading for Anathon is Monsters Volume 2 by Marjorie Liu and Sana Takeda. This will be completing my graphic novel and comic prompt. Next is Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. This is going to be completing my LGBTQ characters or romance prompt and my general adult romance prompt, as this follows a male-male relationship between the President of the United States' son and the Prince of England, one of the princes of England, I think. And I've heard some good things. I'm hoping that it's going to live up to my expectations, but I don't know if I could really comment much on the English representation that I've heard has not been done the best. So I'm just gonna see how I like it. And finally, the last book I will be reading for Anathon is going to be my audiobook pick for the readathon, which is going to be The Chemist by Stephanie Meyer. I don't really know what this could fit other than audiobook. Like, I don't know enough about it to say anything about whether if it's sci-fi or some other genre prompt or something along those lines, because I tried listening to this in November of 2019 and I was in such a bad audiobook slump that I didn't feel like I really could pay attention to it. So I'm just going to see how I like it. Hopefully I like it more than when I tried to read it in November, because I remember in November I was really confused about what happened at any point in the beginning of the book. So I did do some pre-filming for the random TBR pick because I got way too impatient with picking my random TBR books. So I will roll the footage from that. So this clip is filmed before I even film my TBR because I already know what's going to be on the TBR at this point. I just have to actually film the video. But because I already know what I'm going to be using basically in March, I'm going to draw my random TBR book for March and end up picking out my library lottery pick as well. So let's see what we have for my random TBR for March. Hopefully it's something I can use for either the Royal Weekender or maybe even for Readathon. We'll see. So we have His Majesty's Dragon by Naomi Novik. So this is my first Naomi Novik book. I don't really know much about it. I heard that it was pretty good in terms of it being a fantasy story. It looks like it may be a trilogy, maybe more than that. I only know Naomi Novik because of her Spinning Silver duology, and so I'm interested to see how this one is because I think this was a series that came out before that. It says it was published in 2006, so I don't know how far off that is from Spinning Silver, but I really hope I like it because I have heard some really good things about that duology specifically that I want to see how her writing is to see if I actually want to read that series. For the library lottery, we are going to spin for all of the different categories. So first we have the age range. Oh boy, an adult book. Yay, that makes me so happy. So this could be something to work with for Readathon. So now I have pulled up my adult wheel and we are going to now spin for a genre. Ooh, an adult fantasy. Okay, I do have an adult fantasy picked out for Readathon, and it is going to be Fire and Blood. So let's see who we get as an author that I have to go find at the library. So now we're going to spin for the last name that the author name has to start with for me to pick in the adult fantasy section. And of course, it's a letter where likely there's not gonna be really many authors with this last name. So it's not actually a surprise that I ended up getting that because I had a similar issue with my February library lottery pick where I had a young adult mystery thriller with the last name starting with a Y. I ended up having to go to the letter before because nothing in the letter after was a mystery thriller in the young adult section. So I had to go to the W's to find something. So very likely it is going to be something I'm going to have to hunt for a little bit. But without further ado, let's get over to the footage for the library of me finding a adult fantasy with the last name of the author starting with the letter X or something close to that.
Hey guys, so we're at the library right now, and unfortunately the science fiction and fantasy things are all literally meshed up together, so that's kind of annoying. But then also there are literally no books with the last name starting with X. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Robert just have him pick a shelf and we're going to find something. It might not be fantasy, but honestly I could care less as long as it is the beginning of a series or something that I may have either already read or something like that. So the book that we ended up picking was The Dirty Streets of Heaven by Tad Williams. This is, I think, a science fiction novel, but it looks like it has also something to do with angels, which is interesting because that can develop on the fantasy or science fiction side. So I'm interested to see how this one goes.
So next I have my library lottery books I still have not completed as of January, which include Chloe in India by Kate Darnton and The Uninvited by Tim Wynne-Jones. Chloe in India was my January library lottery pick, and The Uninvited was my February pick. Now, these are not particularly for Readathon. These are just outside of everything, kind of in like the middle parts of March where I don't have any specific readathons I'm doing. So these and His Majesty's Dragon are kind of after Readathon has finished up. So next I do want to continue reading the Dorothy Must Die series. As many of you know, I did decide I was going to try to finish up some series at some point in the year. The first one being the Dorothy Must Die series by Danielle Page. So this month I do hope to get through Yellow Brick War, which is book 3, book 4, The End of Oz, and then the short story collection, Dorothy Must Die Stories. I do hope to get through these 3 as well in the middle part of March before the very end, because the last weekend of the month is when I have another readathon I am doing that is only a 48-hour one, so I think I can get through these ones though fairly quick, because The Wicked Will Rise, which was book 2, was really quick to go through when I actually had time to sit and read it, so I think that these should go by fairly quickly. The next book I do hope to complete before the last weekend of March is A Knight of the Seven Realms by George R.R. Martin. I think it's technically a collection of short stories that follow 2 characters that are 90 years before the Song of Ice and Fire story, and they have a lot of parallels to, I think, Tyrion and Podrick Payne. I'm kind of excited to see what happens with this, because I've heard that this was actually pretty good, and it's not short, but it's shorter than Fire and Blood at least, so hopefully I can get through this one too. And now we come to my last readathon that I'm doing in March, which is going to be the Royal Weekender, which is hosted by Rachel Marie's Book Journey as part of the Book Junkie Trials. You guys may know I did the Book Junkie Trials for the first time in July of 2019, and I absolutely loved it. I also did the Winter Quest that we did in December of 2019, which I failed epically, and I sacrificed essentially my daemon because poor Pip, I didn't have the time to sit and read the books I had to read for that week. So poor Pip's he's gone. He's lost forever, unfortunately, but I do have 3 books I am planning on reading for the Royal Weekender, as it is a 48-hour readathon essentially, and there are some other challenges that are kind of going to be thrown in there that you guys might get to see when I vlog that weekend, but I'll leave that for a surprise, and I'll just tell you the books I plan on reading. So I am on Team Bard. I was on Team Bard for the Winter Quest, and I feel like it just fits me a little bit better in a lot of ways, as opposed to the Magi team that I was officially a part of in the actual first round of the Bookie Trials. And so I decided to stick with Bard just to make it easier, so I'm not jumping from team to team to team every time that this stuff comes up. So for the bards, there are 3 challenges that are reading based, and one of them is Superior Inspiration, which is to read a book that is based on a retelling. I have decided to pick up Cress by Marissa Meyer. Now, I have read Cinder, but I have not read Scarlet as of yet. I will be listening, though, to Scarlet at some point in the month. I think possibly after Anathon. I do have the audiobook checked out, so I do plan on listening to that at some point during this month before the Royal Weekender. So I thought it was appropriate to then pick up Cress for the Royal Weekender, so that I had actually an excuse to pick up more of that series, because I want to start trying to start and then finish series this year. So the next challenge is the Cinnamon Roll Character Challenge. So you pick a character who's kind of a softie, and for this I actually picked Bitter Blood, which is the 13th book in the Morganville Vampire series, which also then does complete my read for this month for the Morganville Vampires. This one I picked because one of the characters in particular that I think is a bit of a cinnamon roll is Eve. I feel like Eve Rosser is the sweetest character that there has ever been, but she's also kind of a badass in a lot of ways, but like she's just so precious to me that I feel like I need to protect her at all costs, especially with where things are going in this series at this point. So I'm really excited because I feel like that kills 2 birds with 1 stone, where I get to read my Morganville Vampires book for the month and I get to complete this challenge. And the last book that I will be reading for the Royal Weekender, which is going to complete my illustrated coverage challenge, is going to be Monstrous Volume 3 by Marjorie Liu and Sana Takeda. This is the most recent installment of the Monstrous graphic novel series. As you can tell, it is still in the plastic. I have not taken it out of the plastic since I got this, I think in like September of 2019. So I'm really excited to get into this because, like I showed you guys, I will be reading Monstrous Volume 2 earlier in the month. So guys, those are all of the physical books on my TBR that I am going to be reading, as well as all the books in general I will be reading in March. So I am so excited for this month because of Anathon and on the Royal Weekender. So I am really inspired to hopefully get through all these books. I think the one that's going to be the hardest for me might be Fire and Blood, just because that's so big, and I'm just a little worried that it's going to take me a lot longer to get through that one than any of the other books, because I feel like the rest of them are pretty short for the most part. But I'm also really excited that they're so eclectic in the style and in the genre and the age range. Like, I feel like I'm going to have a really good eclectic reading month this month, probably more eclectic than I think I've ever had. So I'm just super, super excited. So if you are doing any readathons this month, like the Royal Weekender, or you are participating in Anathon, let me know down in the comments below. Otherwise, what are you reading this month? Are you going to be reading a lot of books? Are you planning on taking it easy this month with a lot of people going on spring break? You know, what's everybody gonna do? So anyway, thank you guys so much for joining me in this video. If you guys did enjoy it, please do give it a big thumbs up. And if you're not already and you'd like to be, hit that button down below and subscribe to become an owl in our flock. And I will see all of you guys in my next video. Bye guys.